And the winner is Arctic Monkey!
That subscriber content, eh? That subscriber content, it just won't go away.
It might hibernate from time to time and sink back into the swamp. I think the cyclical nature of the universe in which it exists demands it adheres to some of its rules.
But it's always waiting there, just around the corner, ready to make its way into your ears and smash through the gated payment system, sounding better than ever.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
Benefits such as getting ad-free episodes a week early with pre- and post-show chat relating to the monkeys, last Shadow Puppets episodes, bonus podcasts, watch-alongs, plus helping us improve our sound with better equipment and services.
Yeah, this podcast seems like it's fading away sometimes, but with subscribers, it will never die. Thank you very much for listening. We do truly appreciate it. Don't take that the wrong way.
Yeah, we'll invoice you for the subscription if we need to.
We're Arctic Monkeys. This is Don't Believe the Hype.
That rock and roll, eh? Ladies! That sound means it's the end of the round. Time for the bonus question. Cheers, dude. That man just yawned. We're gonna call it
Don't Believe the Hype.
Hello and welcome to Don't Believe the Hype, and a returning Don't Believe the Hype, no less. What better gift to welcome 2024, eh? Yes, we've covered the eras of dirty dance floors, totalitarian bouncers, t-shirt and tie combinations, 7-hour flights, 35-minute drives, and everything in between in the most excruciating detail possible. But now, things are ramping up a notch as we finally get to, let's face it, the reason why we started this podcast in the first place. Yes, you guessed it, it's time for some of that full moon music. New year, new album, but the same old show you've come to know and love, albeit with some new features. More on that in a bit. Yes, every week we'll find out everything there is to know as we dig deep into a classic track from our favourite band. With me, I'm Nick. Hello. And joining us, as always, I can't hold down the urgency, but it's all right, because I know a man who can. It's Dan. He's the man who can. Hello, Dan. There's a lot of rhyme in there.
There was, yeah.
Ooh.
You remember me going singing Music Man again then, for a minute, like as previously. I'm good. You're quite right. Well, it has been a while, hasn't it? It's been a minute. For us. I think it's been a while for the listeners, hasn't it? We kind of finished early December, I think, and then
we
had Christmas episodes. But now, they'll be getting this on the like the end of the month, won't they? So 31st of Jan. So yeah, but yeah, no, it's been a while, so we're back. But this is you're quite right. I feel that the first album was a revelation to listen to it again from a nostalgic point of view, and is of course your favorite album.
Now,
favorite was Nightmare, had its ups and downs. But it was good. Said the man who works in the elevator. But the B-sides. I don't know what that.
I'm glad you weren't proud of that one.
No. B-sides. I feel like some of the B-sides were strong, but I don't know. It didn't hit me of the impact that the first series did, certainly. But this is, from this point on, is really what I got into it for. Like the other ones were fun, but really this onwards is where it's at. And I think that'll be evident in tonight's episode because there's, obviously we're starting where it starts with my Propeller, but I felt doing the music and the lyrics for this. I just thought, okay, especially the lyrics. There was so many, in the past when we kind of have silly debates about stuff or whatever, or with this, I've got like 4 different things this song could be about, and there are like different roads to go down and stuff. And it's like, I thought, okay, this shows the difference, I suppose, in that, like with the old stuff, bit of interpretation at times, but this is very much, and this is probably one of the lighter lyrical interpretation songs on the album, you could say, this one. Because it's not a huge lyrical. There's not that many lyrics, is there really, compared to some of them on this album? So to get that already, I feel like once we get into your Crying Lightnings, your Dangerous Animals, your Secret Doors, and on, it's pretty fucking And the B-sides in this album, in this era, are fucking incredible. I would say, I'm going to put this out there now, and we'll see if by the end of this statement holds up in sort of 16, 18 weeks from now, or whatever. But I would say that out of all the albums, this era has the best collection of B-sides. And I love the Suck It and
I
See
think
B-sides,
so.
as you can imagine. But
Yeah.
but this one has a lot, and they're really impressive songs as well. There's barely any. I can't think of any filler ones either. Like that, you go, oh yeah, that.
Yeah, I think every B-side could have ended up on the album quite easily.
And there's no joke because there's no jokey ones either. You get like a Little Illusion Machine here, or 2013 there. There's no little like. Little Illusion Machine's a good song, obviously, but it's a bit of a laugh in it. But this is this album's just
Certain
got
person
solid.
who's involved ruins it, but
Well,
it's
we don't have much cause to talk about it in this series.
Bashing.
So we don't have much cause to bring him up this album, will we? But no.
Apart from the
you'll
fact
be
that straight after we've done
Must
this,
be.
we're recording another Last Shadow Puppets episode, which you
yes.
can get on our Patreon if you become a subscriber. Then you get access to Last Shadow Puppets, you get access to watch-alongs, and there's a full and bountiful library of stuff already on there. And while you're at it, check the links out in the episode description and like and follow us on your podcast player of choice and TikTok and elsewhere. Right, let's crack on.
And that's where we will be getting our very good. You did well because it's been a while there. Very good.
All there, down there for
a new hat. It's a new hat, isn't it? Is it a North Face hat?
New hat. North Face hat. Yeah, got it for Christmas.
Ah, lovely. Very nice. I like it.
Got him off Nobby Burton. Comes out of a suitcase.
2 for a tenner. Yes, please. 4. I'm very, 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 very excited for this. And I'm also wondering if I'm curious of our listener numbers and see if people will drop off at this point, or whether we'll pick up a lot of people that were like, I don't want to hear them talk about the first two. So, or we might not get anyone. We might just have a solid audience now. But I am curious to see if this album makes people not want to listen, which I think isn't fair because at the time this album was divisive. But I think as years have gone on, everyone's accepted that it's great. But I wonder if new people will have been waiting in the wings. Like, I don't want to hear about those two first, especially the younger generation like Arctic seem to not have much time for the first 2 albums, do they? Which
no, that's correct. I've noticed a lot of that on Twitter since we started doing this, and I've kind of become a member of AMTWT, Arctic Monkeys Twitter. They call themselves AM Twit, and
AMX
there
now.
seems to be a lot of humbug. No, it's the post office and the Spastic Society.
Change the name and ruin it. But I can't talk about the post office at the minute. Yeah, so
Everyone
yeah,
loves
no,
the post office all of a sudden, don't they? Been slagging them off for years.
No, yeah. I can't say my excitement enough for this era. But we've got new features tonight. We've got good new features. We've gone a bit more serious, I guess, because we dropped a bit of the dropped a bit of the jokey stuff, and we've come in with some, much like the band, we've come in with some. Well, Alex gets his humour in there, obviously, as ever, as we will as well.
A laugh. Don't you worry.
We'll still be having a laugh. Don't worry about that. But we've gone. There's a lot more to talk about, really, isn't there, on this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Still plenty of. Themes.
We should rebrand as. We should go from Nick and Dan to Nicholas and Daniel, to show how serious we are.
I was tempted to wear like a different, to wear like a sort of denim shirt or something, but I've gone for. I've actually got a hoodie that's a lot like Helder's hoodie, actually.
I've grown my hair out in full Alex fashion, like you did for this album. So.
Oh sure, yeah, maybe next week I'll wear. I've got a hoodie that's much like the white hoodie that Mr. Helders is wearing in the background there.
Ooh.
But so maybe I'll wear that next week. But yeah, no, obviously we'll talk about the album as a whole at the end of it. But it is my Propeller this week, so shall we have a listen to it? Ooh.
Let's go to Reading 2009, where it was the opening song.
Oh, I forgot we do a live bit. I'd forgot about that. Lovely. Sorry. I got excited then. I'd forgot. I thought we were just going to listen to the song.
It's the best part of the show. Let's do it. Let's have a listen. There we go. That was Arctic Monkeys performing My Propeller on August 29th, 2009, just 10 days after the album was released at Reading Festival. It was the opening track where it was followed by their cover of Red Right Hand by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. More of that coming soon. I went very John Peel there. Good job
You
there's
did,
no
but you very
15-year-old
lucky.
Thai girls nearby, aren't there?
I love how you specified it was Arctic Monkeys at the start. That made me chuckle.
Yeah, yeah.
Like anyone was going, oh!
Playing Arctic Monkeys,
just in
coming,
case,
George.
just in case someone stumbled upon the pod and didn't quite know what it was. But yeah, no, great. I love that. I mean, this song I said to you before the pre-show. As soon as we cracked it, as soon as I clicked it on, I was like, oh yeah, this is proper shit now, and this is a really good, solid song. Underrated, I think, by some perhaps.
Heavy.
Just solid, and obviously we're going to get into the music in a bit, but yeah, absolute tune. What I love about that Reading, because I was at the Leeds one, obviously, of this.
You were,
this
yeah.
gig. What I love about that is the rest of the band has just gone full desert Josh Homme. Helders is still cracking the Adidas grey tracksuits and a t-shirt, completely out of place. But no,
and now he's the fashion guy. Now he's the only member of the band to have his own clothing line. So,
if you thought my obsession with Helders and waxing lyrical was previous seasons, then you just wait for this season, people. But yeah, no. Should you fancy some information on the song then?
I do, with the tried and tested jingle that corresponds to it as well. We get to
actually, before
bring it back to 2023.
I was just going to say about that clip. Do you think Alex's persona for this one was I don't give a shit?
Yes.
This was his I don't give a shit persona, wasn't it? Like he kind of steps away from the mic and sighs at one point during that live performance. Yeah. Oh, they were so stoned that I don't know. They kind of took Stoner
Little
rock,
from column A,
literally.
little from column B.
But yeah, sorry. Let's hear the jingle. It's been a while. Let's hear the jingle. Love the jingle.
It's the information.
The information action ratio. Ain't that the place to go?
You can do the. If it's
Can I
the
do it?
first one of the series, you can do it. Go on.
I was going to say I was in charge of the jingles at the Christmas one, which is interesting. It was the jingle? The jingles are in my hands. Oh, I did do a very funny
Out of power.
I felt a funny joke about you not being there using Arctic Monkeys songs. I thought you'd appreciate it.
It was very good. It's probably the highlight of my year.
That was a very good. We're going to get those guys on again. We had a great time with Justin and Matt, and we're going to. I think they might pop up here and there. I've said to them get in touch episodes, but I think we're definitely going to get them on for Frightline Dining Room because we discussed that on the episode. But pop here and there, and I thought it was very good. The American game that Justin brought was fun as well. That was difficult as well. You didn't, but yeah. Anyway, My Propeller is 3 minutes and 25 seconds long, and it has. I'm not going to say just, but it has 78.1 million streams on Spotify, which is a lot by other band standards and also by Arctic Monkey standards, but not a lot by Arctic Monkey single standards, I believe. I'm pretty sure whenever we do a lot of the singles, they're in the hundreds of millions.
I think a lot of people genuinely forget this was a single. I think they do.
Yeah, it is. I was doing it and I was like, oh yeah, the video, yeah. And to be fair, we'll talk about that. There might be a reason why, but yeah, it's one of them. It just slipped by, but I think underrated, very much underrated. Then is what I'd say. Even though 78.1 million streams is nothing to balk about, we're only comparing them to their own standards. But it's certainly got more. If it wasn't a single, it would be high on the album tracks. I never know though. You know, when I always wonder about this on Spotify when you click on the single and it says My Propeller. You know, like if you're going through someone's track list and you go to singles, you'll click on it and it'll say My Propeller and then it'll have the B-sides. If someone listens to that My Propeller, in fact, I should look, I could easily find this out. Does that My Propeller in the singles have a different collection of listens to the My Propeller on the album, or do they put them together? That's what I always wonder. But I guess you'd know. I guess you'd know by looking at it, and I could do that right now because all I have to do is go on Spotify and type in My Propeller, and here it is. So as we said, 78.1. I think it's different, you know. It's different. So that's something I might have to take into account with the singles there because there'll be more plays. So this one has good. No, it doesn't. So it doesn't have any streams available as far as I can see here for this one. So they must take them. They must add it to the. Oh wait, no, actually no, I'm talking shit. It does. That's 78.1, so it's the same. So they do put them together. Spotify have thought of it. That's good. To get annoyed.
Well done, Spotify. Now you've done that. Pay your artists. Carry
Right,
on.
now I'll check on Apple Music. Then I'll check on Napster. No, so because it's 2002, it is 115 beats per minute and is in the key of A minor. One we don't see a lot, I think.
Not a lot of
A
A
minor, isn't
minor
it?
action going on.
And I hope.
Well,
you
I
don't see
mean,
a lot
bands
of-
bands
you
have got
don't-
themselves in trouble for
I was
that
gonna
time
say,
immemorial. The bands have got in trouble for messing around with A minor. So
I hope you don't see a lot of A minor, Nick, anymore. The song, wow, we've not been on air. The song has been played live 136 times by the band. Firstly, on August 1st, 2009, at All Points West Festival in New Jersey. New Jersey discussed in our pre-show chat. And lastly, discussed is pushing it, but and lastly, on September 1st, 2023, the Swines. Where was my slice of that? On the Budweiser stage in Toronto, Canada.
thanks, mate. Thanks. Yeah. Not
Maybe.
Toronto,
Didn't say
Scotland.
well, you never know. This one, I don't know if you knew this. Could be brand new information. This to you, as it was to I. This one was produced by James Ford, and I never would have guessed that if you'd asked me. So this is one of the James Ford produced tracks on the album, of which I thought there was only 2, but there isn't. There's a lot more. But this was one of them. But I would never have thought My Propeller. If you'd said to me, there's 4 James Ford produced tracks on this album, I'd go Secret Door, Cornerstone, Fire in the Flood. I don't know. I can't remember which of the actual ones now. Yeah, Jeweler's Hands, and I think he did actually do Jeweler's Hands. But I never would have said My Propeller. This feels like it's got Homies, Prince all over it. But maybe he influenced it spiritually, not physically.
I dare say he did.
I
I dare say he provided all the herbal products necessary for them to conceive.
He cultivated a mood, which is something that will come up later. Actually, moods and cultivating moods. So this song is the 3rd single from the 3rd studio album Humbug, as you all know, which was a 3rd and 3rd, which was announced on the 1st of February 2010, and then it was released on the 22nd of March 2010, with the 10-inch vinyl being sold exclusively at Oxfam charity stores. Originally, they planned for the 3rd single to be Pretty Visitors, but it was switched to My Propeller. No reason given why, but it was, yeah. I wonder if that's because I'm trying to think of a credible reason of why that would be. But do you think Pretty Visitors would have been a better choice as a single? Because it is a song that has pretty much been in every set, hasn't it? It's the one song that's lasts the
staple.
It's the Humbug staple, yeah. That and Crying Lightning. But interesting. I wonder what that was. I'm trying to think if it's because the label intervened and said it wasn't a very marketable song, or whether it was because I can't see that happening with Domino though, and it is actually a really good song. And it's a shame it didn't get released because non-Arctic Monkeys fans would know that song better. And Pretty Visitors is an absolute beast of a song, as we'll get to in a future
Pretty
episodes.
Visitors is up there with like I mean, it's not at 505 levels of popularity, despite not being a single, because nothing is. Let's face it.
I mean, it's a great live tune, isn't it? It's just
fantastic.
Yeah. And again, when we get to the drumming in that. Heaven. But no, I don't know why. I guess maybe it's a silly reason. Maybe they just didn't because it says last minute, but I mean these things are planned in advance. You've got to cut the vinyls and everything. Yeah. So I don't know what. It doesn't say last minute. I did that. It just says was switched to My Propeller. So I added.
Well, I suppose at the same time though, there was less demand for vinyl. Like nowadays, if you want to get vinyl cut, you need to. There's still a backlog from like lockdown and stuff of like vinyl getting cut. But I suppose back then, so maybe you could have made a decision later.
Maybe because it was going for charity to Oxfam, Pretty Visitors didn't seem appropriate because he says tramp in it. Do you think that's logical? Do you think that's logical to say tramp when you're selling something for Oxfam? Oh no, Oxfam doesn't. What does Oxfam give money to actually?
People who need it, innit?
Oxford families, because they need money.
It's
probably that's probably where the actual money goes. Is it the actual? Is it the actual?
Satire.
Is it the actual? Is it Africa? Yeah. I don't know where it is, but maybe I thought maybe it was homeless for a minute, but it's not, is it? But charity shops sell cheap clothes, calling people tramps. I don't know. There's connotations with charity shops and tramps, isn't there? I suppose people calling people
Probably
tramps.
why
So
they didn't
maybe
choose plastic tramp then, isn't it?
yeah. Yeah. They didn't sell vinyls for shelter, did they? With
No.
no.
Funny that.
But yeah, so they changed it. So there you go. If anyone knows it, I couldn't find a reason why. So if anyone does know, if anyone's got any insight, message us.
Yeah, if you're the CEO of Oxfam in 2010 and you can shed some light on that decision, if you were the handsomely paid CEO of Oxfam, get in touch.
I'd rather hope like someone who's in the inner circle or is in the band or the label was listening and heard it rather than the head of Oxfam if I was picking. But beggars can't be choosers.
No,
as-
they cannot. As the band should have said when they wanted to release Pretty Visitors.
But I would have liked a video and a single release for Pretty Visitors, I think. But the video for the single was released on the 18th of March. More on that later. The song charted at number 90 in the UK singles chart, which I guess is a byproduct of only releasing a limited vinyl in Oxfam. I'd imagine.
And the charts had pretty much died by this point as well. This would have been around the time that they started featuring streaming in the charts and stuff to try and revive it. They moved the schedule of the chart show round, and charts don't matter by this point. I mean, it didn't matter anyway.
2010 actually won it, so even worse. Yeah. And also on the switching of the songs, I feel like third singles of any album are the worst one. No one really cares about the third single, do they? You go, oh, is there a video? Okay. It's not exciting. The first single is exciting because it's before the album. The second single is exciting because it's just before the album comes out, usually. And then the third single is like, oh, right, yeah, I've heard that song. Yeah, okay.
But by the time the third single comes out, you've normally fully digested the album and got everything you want from it. And you've moved on to another band, or you're waiting for something else to come out. So, it's a horrible one. It's not like great. AM with its 47 singles.
No, Domino's got to make its money somehow because Franz Ferdinand aren't doing much, are they? But yeah, 90 in the UK singles chart, number 7 in the UK indie chart though, and number 6 in the Canadian singles chart, so that it went highest in Canada. Now, not only do we get the excitement of new features and new album, new song coming back from a bit of a long break, we've got a special old segment tonight, which only crops up. It'll crop up 3 times on this album, won't it? And the first 2 will be out of the way pretty quickly.
Yes.
Are the Arctic Monkey singles always on that? I always feel like they're always in the first half of the album. Is that true? No, because what if people say they're not, are they? They're at the very end.
No,
one of them anyway.
Suck It and See is at the end of the album as well.
Yeah, so I'm talking shit basically. And AM, they released every song but the last song on the album, I think. So, but no, yeah. So shall we have a game that we like to call Ghost Cookies?
You could say they're selling like ghost cookies.
Now, Nick, bear in mind this was a limited vinyl sale that was only sold in certain Oxfam stores, so temper your expectations down from previous installments of this fine segment. While are you thinking, I'll give you a moment to think what that might be. It's a lot lower than usual, is what I'll say, because of the nature of the release. But in fact, I'll give you a clue, and then you can kind of figure out where you want to go from there. It's under 50,000. So there you go. You can figure out what you want from there. But while you are thinking, I'll tell you that. Do you remember back when we did Leave for Lights Come On, and we didn't know where to put it as a title in the list? Like, well, you didn't because you're freaking weirdo. It was like, do I put it, as a series? Do I have on its own? On this chart website because this wasn't widely known how many of these sold, I had to dig it out of this website. They listed Leave for Lights Come On under the title Orphan, so we could have had that. As in it's not attached to any. I know. It's not
that makes
attached
it feel
to
really
any.
sad.
There was another song that was labeled that as well, but I can't think what it was. It must be something else that was released. That wasn't.
Your Mind, possibly, before.
Yeah, it might have been, yeah, actually.
That's made me feel really sad.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, maybe that Leave for Lights Come On will grow up to be a superhero.
Yeah, that's his origin story.
Yeah. Just that'll be catchphrase. He'll kill someone, and he'll say that you shouldn't have left. I don't know. I'll describe it. Right. What are the fucking? What are you going for the sales of this? All the money went to Oxfam. Sold in Oxfam stores. 10-inch vinyl, limited edition, under 50,000. I've given you.
No, that's it. Typically, these things are limited to like a few thousand, and the fact you said under 50,000, I was gonna go on that. But it's the fact you said under 50,000.
Don't read too much into that.
Maybe
Don't. I'm not going to
Okay,
do like
okay.
49,800 or something like that. I'm not.
right.
No. I've just said 50 because I thought if I went too low, yeah, it'd be
yeah,
too,
I
too
think
easy.
like 2,500.
No, it's more. It's a lot more than that, but it's 15,000. So they sold 15,000 vinyls.
Why couldn't I bloody get hold of one then? I went round every Oxfam shop I could to try and get one.
Well, you were there anyway, but it was. I don't know about that.
I don't. It's really confusing.
62 million people in the UK, though, Nick. To be fair, so. Although actually, yeah, I see what you're saying. How many Oxfam stores are an old people? How many? I did actually. Was looking in an Oxfam at some vinyls the other day, but they weren't. I thought, these will be cheap, but they weren't. How
never
many
cheap, and they're never good either.
Oxfam shops in the UK. So at the minute, there's 600. There might have been a lot more 13 years ago before we had 13 years of a Tory government, but there's 600. So you had 15,000. They couldn't have had that many in each store, could they? So yeah, you did have a good shout. Maybe there was just too many Arctic Monkeys fans back then to come out.
Maybe that was.
Although this
maybe
was
people
a
were buying
backlash
them
on
to
this
sell
album, so
inflated prices.
Maybe those bastards. But the original money still would have gone to. I wonder if you can get it. Actually, I might have a look. Anyway, we got a new segment next. Excited. We're just in a classic old segment, a fan favorite. We got a new one. Something I did do in the wrap up and said I was going to do, but now we're doing it every week for each track, and it's where I discuss the gear.
Technological advances really blooming get me in the mood.
Blooming. I think I prefer that. Yeah, that's full tranquility, Alex. That's full gear. Full gear. Tranquility, Alex. So on this one, Jamie, the Cookie Monster, uses a baritone guitar on this track. If anyone doesn't know what a baritone guitar is, it's got a longer scale length so it can be tuned to a lower pitch. Used a lot in surf music, which is perhaps an interesting discussion for the music segment of this show. Yeah. It's used a lot on film scores like westerns, and heavy metal uses it a lot again, which again could come up in the music of this. To give you an example of more of the band using a baritone guitar, Tranquility, they use a baritone on Star Treatment, Science Fiction, and Bat Phone. All the songs everybody loves off that album. I mean, we do, but and probably most people listen to this. They all use a baritone guitar. Probably the most famous example for people to compare it to is Heart of Stone by the Rolling Stones. Uses a baritone guitar. So, yeah. Thank you. So, effects wise, so obviously I don't know like the exact pedals, but this is kind of what. If you want to create this sound yourself, so that a little bit tip for you if you are someone that wants to create the sound of my propeller. The song uses overdrive, spring reverb, delay on the solo, so that is actually what it uses. But if you want to recreate the sound, because obviously you see their pedal boards, they're insane. They've got so many pedals. It can be different. Jamie, if you use a pedal called the heroin effects pedal, that's like heroin with an E on the end, like a damsel in distress, not a junkie.
Okay.
Yeah. Or I suppose you could call Amy Winehouse a heroin, couldn't you?
You could if you were that way inclined. I wouldn't.
No. Bit dubious about the biopic of her because the music's been allowed, which means it's going to be very nice about her dad, I'd imagine. But we'll see, because the music wouldn't be allowed if they slagged them off, would it? It's just the state wouldn't have allowed it now. So you got to play the game to get the music, I guess.
That was my first thought. And it's Eddie Marson's playing her dad as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and you always have to like Eddie Marson, don't you, as well, normally? So
apparently, yeah.
Well, people do. I mean, I can't imagine. I can't remember villainous roles that he's played, but so yeah, it worries me because he is a twat. Everyone has his dad, not. Well, maybe I don't know. I never met him. But anyway, so heroin there, and if you want to create the sound of, and that heroin, by the way, also doubles up as Alex's parts as well. So you want the Alex guitar part as well, that's on it. But if you want to create the leady bits of this song, the kind of higher note bits, a big spender pedal will do that job for you. And I actually saw someone recreating it using these pedals, and it sounded fucking great, and it made me realize how good the music sounds on this album. By the way, because it's going to come up a lot this series, are we going with Hom or Hommy? Because I think it's Hommy, isn't it? I think I always said Hom. No, because I always thought it was Hom, but then whenever you hear anyone that knows him saying it, they say Hommy. So I feel like the people that actually know him would. I'm going to say Hommy, I think, because I'm worried, and it's a bit close to homage. So at some point, I'll figure out a joke on that.
Was worth it for that, yeah.
Maybe it could be a segment we'll bring in next week, the homage of the episode where we talk about what we thought Josh Homme. But this one we can't because he didn't produce it. But we think what he brought to the table of this song, the homage of the song. Yeah, that's what you get.
That's good.
What you've been missing.
That's what you get.
But yeah, that's the big spender pedal. If you want the lead sound, hey, big spender. If you're looking for the organ tones of My Propeller, of which I'd forgot there was an organ in until I listened to it, then look no further than the Nord Electro 4, which we have talked about before because they take it on touring with them. Now, however, the Nord Electro 4 doesn't exist anymore. It's no longer available, but you can get the same sound with most Nord stage keyboards. Sounds like I've been sponsored by them, isn't it?
I'm getting flashbacks to listening to podcasts that are sponsored by NordVPN.
You mean every fucking podcast? And you know what? I always say to my girlfriend, we should get one of them, and then we never do. But I should actually get one. I really want one. But I feel like I'm already overwhelmed by how much TV there is. So if I start opening up like the American Netflix, I don't know. I'll never get anything done. But I'm going to get one.
I use it to stream county games on a Saturday because you can only stream them abroad. So I go to different countries every. I've got a little map with pins in, and I go to a different country every year.
But no, it does sound like we've been paid to sell NordVPN and Nord keyboards.
But the thing with NordVPN, we did Nord keyboard.
It's because it's not. If it was monthly installments, I'd do it straight away. But whenever something's like one-off payment of like 100 and something quid, I'm like, ew. But if something's like £20 a month for 10 years, I'm like, oh, that sounds reasonable. Should we do some reviews for this song?
Let's.
I should clarify, I meant to at the end there, that, I'm not going to be able to get information on every band member's sort of instruments every episode. We'll take what we can get. And then at the end of the season album, we'll do a roundup of it all and see what their instruments were. But yeah, not every song has information on each individual band members there. So we're over to our friends at Far Out Magazine straight away for this one. They did an article, My Propeller, The Misunderstood Anthem by Arctic Monkeys. They said, whereas their earlier albums largely incorporated energetic post-punk instrumentation with lyrics inspired by kitchen sink realism, Humbug showed significant maturity. Turner's lyrics became more metaphorical and complex, replacing the recognizable characters described in the band's previous records with mysterious and abstract ones. The third and final single was My Propeller, although the band had originally planned to release Pretty Visit instead. As we know, I was hoping they were going to give a bit more insight there, but they didn't. It was, yes, I agree with it. It was available with 3 severely underrated B-sides, Join the Dot, The Afternoon's Hat, and Don't Forget Whose Legs You're On. More on those later. Acting as the opening track, My Propeller introduces listeners to the album with a bang. Matt Helder's intense drums flood powerfully, welcoming the rest of the band's instruments before pausing to allow a Bond-esque guitar riff. Turner's voice sounds particularly smooth, tinged with mystery, as he opens with, If You Can Summon the Strength, Tow Me. We won't get into what they say about what the song means, because we'll be doing that. My Propeller is concerned with moving out of a specific mood with the help of another. Turner's
Oh, thank God for that.
Yeah, Turner's journey is going. So yeah, but away from Far Out Magazine over to our friends at NME for the greatest list. And not a lot of like mainstream reviews for this one either, because it was a single. Normally the singles I get like old Guardian or BBC ones popping up or something like that. But no, again, and flew under the radar, this single. Maybe again because of the limited edition thing. And they put this at number 60 in the list. Only number 60. I mean, I know it's stiff competition, this list, but 60 seems, I think, low for this one, but
Very
as you said,
low,
underrated. They said, is it an elongated innuendo, a cautionary euphemism for cocaine, which we will discuss later? The true meaning of this brooding number has long been hotly debated and still seems to elude everyone but the band themselves. But let's be real, the crafty refrain, have a spin of my propeller, can only point towards one thing. Those cheeky monkeys, that's what NME think, but we'll come to that.
Hey Dan, do you like listening to popular songs with questionable lyrics?
You know I bloody do. And Nick, do you like drinking copious amounts of alcohol?
Nah, do I ever? Actually a worry.
Well, if you're the same as us, then come listen to a weekly podcast, Liquor and Lyrics, where we take apart popular music's worst songwriting whilst drinking our favourite drinks, which kind of stay in theme with the song.
From Gin and Tonic to Grease Lightning,
Cosmopolitans with Chaz and Dave,
Blue Lagoons with Busted,
Sex on the Beach with Sex on Fire,
Shirley Temples with Shaggy,
and even a Shandy with Sharon.
dropping on Tuesday the 19th of September and every Tuesday after on your favourite podcast platform.
The music first, though, before we get into the lyrics, Nick. I mean, it did strike me, like, listening to it, the instrumental, and like coming back to it, that how full it is when it comes in. Because we talked about how we thought If You Were There, Beware, and felt like very like full, like a layered, well done song on the last album. But this feels like even more so. You can just tell it's been, there's just a lot going on. There's not a lot going on because there's nothing like going on like that's really but it just all slaps you in the face as this. And I think when you hear it for the first time, you kind of flies under the radar how much is going on. This kind of like, because they're all playing at the same time, and it's, I don't think you notice it initially.
So if you think back to when we first heard View from the Afternoon at the start of the first album, we'd already heard the demos at that point. So I heard View from the Afternoon and thought, oh, this is different from the demos. And then Brian Storm kicks in, Start a Favourite Worst Nightmare. You think, oh, this is different. And once again, it's happening once again. It's just, straight away you can tell there's a change. You can tell they've progressed. And I love how full on, because we don't get this again, really. We don't get a track being completely full on at the start of an album. This is the last time.
It's interesting, but you know what? Do they always start with a big drum and guitar one, though? Is that something that stays? Because you're quite right that this is the last big one to open in terms of all the band coming in strong. Like, View, Brian Storm. This is literally the last one. But then View from the Afternoon, famously drum and guitar, kind of, big Brian Storm drum and guitar, big opening, big song. This one, She's Thunderstorms. When it comes in, you could argue it because it's guitar, and then it comes in with
just
good
about
drums
fits
and that.
their theme.
And then AM, obviously, drums and guitar together, big carry that song. And then, you get to Start Treatment, not so much the drums and the guitar.
But at the same time, though, I don't think
what
as much as Do Want to Know is drums and guitar. But at the same time, it's not all.
It's
not
in the same way
as it is on the first three.
No. But they all.
If All Your Mind was the opening track, then that'd fit with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Mirrorball is the opening of. Is Mirrorball the opening? So again, not really. But I guess it kind of
the opening track of the 8th album is Rest in Peace, Miles Kane. I don't know. That's heavy.
Hopefully, it will be heavy. But no, it's just it sounds so different to anything that came before. Again, the progression already on it, and I think if I try and think back to this album coming out, because we'd heard Crying Lightning and we'd heard at this point, I think obviously and you knew something different was coming. You knew Josh Homme had done it, and I've talked before about how I'd assumed it was going to be like the fastest like B-sides of Fate Worst Nightmare or that direction, and because it's Josh Homme, it's going to be Queens of the Stone Age meets Arctic Monkeys, and then you get obviously a bit more of a stoner rock than a fast rock album. And I think because of that initial shot, this song went under the radar. In the same way that there was, I don't know if you, apparently I said this on the Christmas episode. Justin said that I said this at one point in the show, and I thought, did I? That was a good point I made, where we discussed it briefly. Where if you took Star Treatment, if you'd opened the album with 1 Point Perspective instead of Star Treatment, would that album have been received better? And I think there's a strong case that perhaps it would have been, because people wouldn't have had that initial jar. And it's like if you watch a film and in the first 20 minutes something really winds you up, and then after that you start just pulling holes at the whole thing because you've lost it.
Harry Potter films?
Well, yeah. But the film would actually have to be good at the end, because the Arctic Monkeys album is good. So, but you just can't get into it because something's annoyed. A bit like me in Shawshank Redemption, I suppose. It rubbed me up the wrong way in the first 20 minutes, and then I've hated it ever since. But yeah, so that's a good point. And maybe with this one, My Propeller has that same problem with it. It was jarring and different to the point where it flew under the radar and for a while. Had they opened with Crying Lightning and had this one a bit later, might have been more of a favourite, perhaps, you could say. So very good. I mean, I don't mind it. But they don't give a shit about that. I still think Star Treatment's a great album opener once you get it, and this is a great album opener, so they don't care about that. But perhaps publicly it would have been better accepted. My Propeller, yeah. I'll be the opening humbug if the public will have me. But yeah, but then it drops down to the riff. I mean, again, this was a moment where I was like, oh yeah, we're in it now. We're in it. This riff, sound of this riff, it's like completely new from them, but also I still think it lives in the world of what we've seen before in terms of Fake Tales, in terms of If You Were There, Beware. This,
yeah,
Less Adolescent, these notey riffs that have this. Because did anyone else do that before? I mean, I know Milburn kind of did with Sending the Boys, didn't they? But did any like this kind of? I can't remember like a lot of songs from past decades.
Well, I was thinking about
in this way,
before. Yeah,
I guess
if you look back at like the other like generation, it is hip hop. Like it reminds me of Bad Boy for Life by P Diddy. It's very much something that's done in that song, and that's the only track I can think of that really does that. If you look back at the other like sort of generational bands that changed things, if you go back to like Libertines, that's closer to the Clash. Oasis is a lot close. Well, certainly has more in common with the Clash than it does with Arctic Monkeys. Even going back to Stone Roses and stuff, that's got more in common with Led Zeppelin, more like high pitched riffs and stuff like that. Smith's jangly guitars. There's nothing I can see where I think this is a thing that someone else is doing.
No, and I mean, it's funny because it does sound like that, and it sounds like the hip hop riffs. But it also has this other sound. Like I distinctly remember when I first heard the riff, or around like after a few listens, I thought of the two songs that sprang to mind for me were "Come As You Are" by Nirvana, that kind of ding 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 ding, and Metallica, Enter Sandman. Like it just really, it's that kind of the way it drops down to that riff, and it's that kind of riff. Just I feel like it's got that vibe to it, that sort of Enter Sandman, Come As You Are vibe, which is interesting because Metallica and other heavy metal acts have used the baritone guitar quite a lot. And obviously Queens of the Stone Age aren't a heavy metal band, but definitely cross genre of that in a way. Yeah,
there's definitely a crossover there.
Yeah. And obviously, Nirvana, Come As You Are, Dave Grohl, big desert rock guy as well. So yeah, it all kind of seems to link together, but it does always remind me of that. And that's why I would have said that this was Homme's influence. I'm going to say Homme so many times. It's not worth me correcting it to Homme every time. This is like Homme's influence straight away, because maybe a lingering influence, on this one, because I mean maybe they rehearsed it at the old ranch, but
I think that's what's happened. I think they've rehearsed all this there, and
Yeah, I mean, because they had some of these songs even before they went to him, because he famously heard the first note of Fingy on this album, didn't he? The dang, Dance Little Liar. He heard, So the Tale Goes, they sent him the demo and he pressed play and it went down and he paused it and rang Alex and said, I'll do it. That's how the myth goes anyway. And I prefer to go with the legend.
The James Ford stuff was recorded in New York, the ones that he produced. But you'd imagine they will have been rehearsed.
And keep
They
it
will have
that.
been rehearsed
Like,
at his studio, and he's.
We'll come back to Nottingham and record. He's like,
No, I'll come to you, lads.
I'll come to you. I'll come to you. We don't want to do it in LA. We want to do it in a city. Oh, city in America. But yeah. Okay, so yeah, they would have. Yeah, it's got Hom's fingerprints. It has to.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't sound like a James Ford producer. Like I hear Cornerstone and I hear Secret Door and I go, yeah, this is James Ford's jam.
And a lot of it would have been. It may well have been that when they first started playing these songs with Josh Homme, they'll have been using the effects pedals in the same way they would have done on Favourite Worst Nightmare, and then he's gone, hang on, just plug in the big muff. Let me get the heroin out. It's like, Josh, we're just here to work, man.
Heroin effects pedal. Yeah, I mean, I still love the idea of like when Helder started playing, and they must have been like, you got these sort of incredible musicians that almost hang around there, and like these sort of rock guys, and maybe even like rest in peace, Taylor was there or something at some point, and Dave Grohl, and they must have seen Helders and been like, fucking hell. Yeah. And then the conversation where they're like, so how did you? And he's like, oh, I've been playing them for about 4 years now. What?
So what?
He bashes out Pretty Visitors. But yeah, I reckon, like I said before, spiritual, not physical presence on this one, but maybe was physical at some point, which I know is how you approach most of your lovers, Nick. Spiritual, not physical, but physical sometimes. I do love the sound of this riff when it drops down to its own, though, because like it sounds live and reverby, and on its own, you can almost hear that it was. I don't know. You can just hear the atmosphere in it when it goes on its own,
like
much like Enter Sandman.
Yeah.
When you listen to that riff, makeshift house studio in the desert at night. I always imagine all this album was recorded at night, even though that's not feasible. Obviously, it wasn't, but I just always imagine it was recorded at night. This album.
Imagine Cornerstone was recorded just as the sun was going down.
They said it changes when the sun. No, we don't mind that.
Dead to me.
Surf music was referenced with the baritone guitar, and I also think this riff, could live in a surf world as well. That kind of like, like I don't know. I was trying to think of it like ding 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 ding. My LA lover.
George Formby doing surf. That's a crossover you did not expect.
But yeah, just interesting that this riff could live in a world where it was surfy. In another incarnation of this album, that riff, if this was like Suck It and See they were recording and they come up with that riff, I think this riff would have a very different vibe to it. It would be like a kind of like now that sounds like Gay Bar, doesn't it? Actually, now I've done that.
Lap straight into it.
Which I do at Gay Bars usually. And when the drums come in, though, and this is when it all comes in after the solo of it, my love affair with the Agile Beast continues here, because I have to get really close to the mic now. I mean, come on now. How the drums, like, it's like how to make the drums match a riff, but then also make them heavier and present, but also still a bit hip hoppy. It's madness. It's the
I don't know
Helders
how he does
brand.
it.
No one else is doing it. No, an original, and not you never hear the drums and go, "Oh, that sounds like the drums in," maybe the odd song. Because I probably might have said that at some point, and someone will pull it out and go, "Yeah, I said it on this one. It did sound like." But Leave for the Lights Come On is the one where I said it sounds a bit like the Queens of Stone Age song. But I got there first. But no, but it's very rare that you hear a Helders drum and think, "Oh yeah, that reminds me of this." Like he always, even when he's AM and it's hip hop, he's doing his own kind of Heldersy take on it, which he has said before, hasn't he? He said he always, with the drums, he always likes to try and come up with something that's original that doesn't sound like something you'd hear before. So yeah, I just think the drum, when it all comes in, the drums are just insane. I love the coax me out. So when he says coax me out, yeah. One guitar is really deep, the baritone, I assume, and the other one is lighter, but still murky and a bit fuzzy sound to it. I love that bit as well. That's really cool. And shout out to my favorite thing ever, as listeners will know, when the riff and the singing are matching in style. I don't know why I love that so much. I just really love it when the riff is at the same pace as the same sort of rhythm as the singing. It is. There's something just nice about it. And then it's just really more of the same, but with they do the sort of verse again, don't they? But with a little addition of little Jamie Cook specials throughout the second verse. There's a lot. This is the album. This is peak Jamie Cook special. This album, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I imagine
I
imagine he's intricately involved in the ins and outs of this album. Like he's the one in the studio with the different pedals and wiring shit together and doing all this shit. And with Josh Homme, I reckon he's the one, because he's the big Queens of the Stone Age fan. So for him, this must have been like, I think I would imagine it. Yeah. Well, like us going into the studio with Alex, recording an album. That's kind of the level it must have been at.
I always imagine it's like when like a football club signs like a player who's bigger than that club, and then the other players will get asked in interviews, "Oh, what's he like?" And they're like, "Oh, he's at training like an hour before us. He stays behind an hour after." And I think that's what Jamie was like on this album. I think by the time they all got up and had a cup of Joe and came into the studio, I bet Jamie was already there. Like he's found like 7 new effects to use.
There is one story that we'll get to, but I think we won't get to it till the wrap-up cast that kind of flies in the face of that, though. An absence. Yeah. We'll get to that. In the
no, I think that story happened on the first day. I think that happened on the first day.
Yeah, but that story. Well, actually, no, it will come up before that, because it was a specific song that he came back with a riff for. Remember when he went off? I can't remember what it was now, but so it will come up. But so even when he is absent, he's coming back with the way to fix a song. So again, the man's name is disrespected in this fan base, and I won't have it. He is a driving force behind the experimentalness and the to dare is to do is Jamie Cook's motto, I believe.
Like Spurs.
Probably what spurred him on in the end. But love the pause after that when he says synergy. And then it pauses, and then you get a little Helders re-entry drum roll, a little mid-song, little get me back in there, Matt drum. It was kind of like a pause and song. Like, what we're going to do, and Helders was like, "I've got just the thing." Coming with this, yeah. Good drum roll. He's a good, because we have a few drum rolls on this album actually. One in the next track, but he does a good drum roll. I'd say. I mean, the next song, it's almost military-esque, but more on that when we get to it, I would say.
And same in Pretty Visitors as well. When we get to that, there's a good bit of.
Oh, that's just fucking drum fills. The whole song's. I can't wait to talk about that.
We might need a separate episode just for the drums for that episode.
I might have to try and find if someone's just like done a thing on YouTube with just the drums to play it or something. I bet they have, because I found someone did that with Brian Storm, didn't they? Do you remember?
I bet there is one.
I've got a good thing to end this episode with, that I'll say on terms of something I found on the interweb. But okay, why are you looking for that then? It's the same as we've come before for a long time. It's just that same riff over and over again. When you listen to it instrumental, you realize how it is just that exact same bit over and over again. But it is the first time that I've ever noticed, I think, on this long stretch of all of them playing, the organ mentioned earlier is in this bit of the song. I think it's like a big long musical chunk stretch, but the organ's like subtly looming underneath. Everything else. Do you think Alex was on the organ? Because when I looked at the credits for this, crucially for this single release, there was a chap called John something, can't remember,
John
who
Ashton,
was on.
Yeah,
But he was on the piano keyboard, not organ, and I think he actually wasn't on this track. I think he was on one of the B-sides has piano. Is it Don't Forget His Legs Are On or something? Has the strong bit of piano in it. You know the one that
Right.
yeah, it's Don't Forget His Legs Are On, isn't it? I think he did the keys for that, but I think he doesn't say organ under his credentials.
So yeah, it just on Wikipedia under the credits it says additional musicians: John Ashton, keyboards, tracks 1 and 2 and 7, and he's
1
the only
and 2.
one. He's the only one listed. So yeah, so I think by keyboards they must mean
Oh.
Alex Turner is listed as keyboards for tracks 3, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10. So I
Interesting
think it
that
is John
because
Ashton playing
he's
it.
not on
And
the
he's in the
Spotify
video we
credits.
played at the top of the show as well.
I'll start. You know what? I need to get the actual vinyl out and look at the credits on that. That's what I'm going to start doing. Because
he was the touring member as well, wasn't he? He was the first touring member they ever had with them. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm going to use the vinyl from now on because the Spotify made no mention of John Ashton on it. I only saw it on the single release.
Sometimes these credits, yeah.
I'll look at the vinyl for the rest of the series then. So he's on the keys, lovely. But yeah, so I feel like you can hear it under this large bit of music. Anyway, you can hear the organ underneath it. When it changes up the coaxing, coax me out my low bit. Love it again. Again, the riff matching what he's saying on this bit. There is a bit here. It's after the bit when they say sink into tomorrow. Sorry, slink into tomorrow. Part where Helders just changes up the drums ever so slightly, and obviously as ever we play the musical clips after this. But if you just when you hear it, he just kind of he's doing the same drum bit, but then he just does a little change up like that he doesn't do in the rest of the song. Which is classic Helders again. And it's a very hip hop signature Helders moment, the change up as well. It's like he just slips 2 hip hop drums in the middle of the riff, like out of nowhere.
Yeah,
So that'll be in there. But then we hit a pause and the organ takes center stage, doesn't it? Old John.
And at this point, this is an influence that the first time I heard this album, something that jumped out at me because it's someone I'm a big fan of, the Coral, who we know that the band are fans of as they chose them to support them. The Cricket Ground in 2007.
Yep,
So,
and one of their touring partners for AM.
Yes, oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah. Good old Bill Rodder Jones.
He used to come on for. He came Fireside. On for Fireside. I think he actually was involved in the recording.
He's
on it
on the yeah. But I hear a lot of choral in this album as well. I know we've got the Queens of the Stone Age influence and the metal influences, but there's a lot of choral, particularly with the organ and the keyboards.
Yes, I would agree. They're obviously big fans of the choral because even back then that the gig we went to. But we kind of after this when it comes back in, we hit the intro again after the pause, don't we? So it does that intro riff again, but instead of dropping down to the riff on its own like it does at the start, it carries on, and we have the lead come in, the solo. A lovely little brief sort of solo here, very cool one, very desert rock, Queens of the Stone Age bit. Again, reminded me of another love song, that kind of very psychedelic, very cool. Do you reckon this was Jamie or Alex?
Very much.
I can't remember who does it live. I'm glad Jamie. You always think it's going to be Jamie, but Alex always does the solos, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Because Alex does the riffs and Jamie does the sort of higher note, intricate bits. So you think he's then going to do the solo, but he doesn't. Alex does the solo.
It will have been Alex doing the solo because I watched a video earlier of them playing it on the recent tour, the Toronto gig, and Tom Rowley plays the solo. So Tom Rowley normally takes what Alex did and plays that.
I don't know why some people get so annoyed about it, because if I like I was always better at lead guitar and solos and stuff. I could never really master, but I was pretty good with chords and strumming and rhythm, and so that's like, you're good at what you do and you've got your place. It doesn't need, just because he doesn't do the solos or anything, it doesn't mean he's any less of a member of the band, like some people seem to think. But But yeah, when the solo stops, the organ is ever present again in this bit. It comes in, almost fairground-esque, I thought, as well, as we've said so many times with
which
TLSP.
I love. That's my favourite organ sound in the world. The fairground carnival style organs. I'm obsessed with it. Yeah,
and we kind of, it's a big part of Tranquility as well, in a way, a little bit different, but still, yeah. I do feel like the
first ever monster truck front flip. That's fairground organs all over the place.
Yeah, and that kind of 4 out of 5. I suppose, like, even like the trailer and that, it's. I do feel like the end is a bit fairground circusy though. The way it kind of comes to its conclusion, the song, like. And I reckon that's how it's going to be on this album, like, because that's Ford. That is Ford's influence, I think, the organ.
That's very different.
I think that's what he brings to it. Like, I feel like with the Ford songs, we're going to hear a bit circusy organ at times, and with Hom, we're going to just get like fuzzy as fuck. Basically, that's the distinction. Yeah,
we found it.
I think the organ is that is what Ford has put in this song. That's his, because he loves an organ, doesn't he? Him and Alex, when they get together, it's organs aplenty.
Sword fight.
When that solo guitar comes back again, though, in the middle of this, it's great. And again, they have the solo match in the single now, so I love a bit of that. Nice end to this one. Nice little stop and sounding out the instruments and the organ as a resounding sound. Nice little, again, a very James Ford end. Isn't it?
Do you prefer an abrupt end to a song? Well, it's not abrupt, this, but the song ends, or do you prefer a fade out? Because that's the worst thing about what song is it now? Oh, Body Paint. The album version of Body Paint. The fade out is just, and then when you see the live versions of it, you just think, oh.
I'll tell you what the difference is. I like a stop. This fade out is what I would call a live fade out, where the song isn't fading, they're just stopping, and the residual sounds from the amps and stuff are carrying the music on a bit.
Yeah.
I love a live fade out. That's great. But I'm with you. I don't like a fade out. I don't really like a fade in either. Like, there's a Shadow Puppet song that has it, isn't there? That we covered.
Calm Like You.
Calm Like You. I'm not a big fan of a fade in, because I just feel like, if you do it live, you're not going to do that. You're going to count in and just start it. So I just, I don't understand the fade in, but yeah, not a fan of a fade out, but a live fade out. But yeah, the way it ends, I do think when I was listening to it instrumentally that this song would work well in a Western score as well. So a bit of TLSP was in between this, wasn't it? So little bit of that influence coming through, maybe like particularly the middle bit when it's just doing the same thing for ages, it long periods, or the end solo. You could see we talk about this a lot on the TLSP one, but like a gang racing across a desert landscape with a big cinematic faraway overhead tracking shot following them.
This is the first
Lovely.
time on the main show where we've got the Last Shadow Puppets influence on stuff. That's the first time we've been able to point it out.
Well, yeah, we'd have to, wouldn't we? Because yeah. Maybe go on a trailer for a Western at the very least. But yeah, I do.
And it will do when we write one.
Yeah. And Alex can star in it. But yeah, so that's that. Anything else to say on the music there? I think it's a cracker. It's a great one to start with as well. But there's many, definitely not the best music on the album, but a great
for a long
introduction
time. This was my favorite track on the album for quite a while.
Was
the
it?
Next couple of years after the album came out, this is my favorite. Yeah, and then Cornerstone clicked with me, and I was like, oh. Hello.
So it's your second favorite. I don't think I've ever had it as a favorite, if I'm being honest. But by no means does that mean I don't like it. But I don't think it would be in my top 5 on this album. No,
I don't think it is in mine now, to be honest.
It might be when we do this. Obviously, that I tend to change my mind as we do this usually, but we shall see. But no.
As I told you on New Year's Day, on New Year's Eve, like Cornerstone is no longer my favorite Monkeys track. So who knows what changes we could see in the course of doing this?
I completely forgot that with the nature of it being New Year's Eve. What? Yeah. Oh yeah, you did. Yeah, I completely forgot because
just because when I said it about a month after we'd been to see him and after we watched the Glastonbury on telly, and you said, "Oh yeah, but you might just be saying that because you're listening to it a lot at the moment." So I went a few months without listening, and then thought about it. Then bang,
Recency
midnight
bias.
on New Year's Day, done.
Well, I retracted that statement, to be fair, very quickly after I said it, because I realised that Mirrorball would be in my top 5 songs, probably. I didn't really have a leg to stand on with that comment, as ever. But yeah, the lyrics of this one, the lyrics. What do you think this song's about, Nick?
As much as I like to joke about it being about erection problems and stuff, I see it more as getting out of a rut. Yeah, on the back of the bus with a cup in his arm. Always get hard on the back of a bus, don't you? That's why he's always up there on the top deck, striking while iron's hot. I'm very much in conjunction with our friends at Far Out magazine in that it's about getting out of a rut and needing someone to do that with you. I think it's more that. And as Alex, I believe Alex has said in interviews, like he's like, "Oh, if I couldn't get it up, why would I write a song about it? Why would I tell everyone?"
He did. I'll in a minute. And I agree. I think. Look, I'm going to. What I'm going to do with this one, because I think I've kind of got a conclusion at the end. I think where I think it lands, but I'm going to give fair. So people don't think I think it all. I'm going to kind of give fair credence to every theory. There's about 4 theories about what it's about. So as we do each line, I'll kind of give how that might work for those theories. So, but it just to make people aware that I don't think it's about most of these, like really, because some of them I think are a bit. Although at one point it was kind of. I mean, I'm the man who tried to make the bakery about cocaine use. So, but
that started off as a joke and then just got.
Well,
silly
I didn't think
like,
of. I didn't think of the. I didn't think of the. Well, yeah, I know it did, and I still kind of think now when I hear it, I'm like, yeah, it did kind of hold up in bits that. But this one. Enemy, never heard that before in my life till I saw the Enemy Greatest List, and they said, "Is it about cocaine?" And then as we'll see as we go through it, whether bits of this hold up in that regard. But yeah, Alex said so. Many fans have interpreted the song title as a double entendre of a sexual nature, and Alex Turner denied this interpretation, saying to the London Times. Absolutely not. Oh, he's got a posh now with London Times, hasn't he? Not the Sheffield Racing Post anymore, is it? Comes crawling back with that, though, doesn't he? With his American sports line. But
if he had done it in the Sheffield Racing Post, though, the trainer's explanation wouldn't have been.
That's what I was saying by his American sports line. Yeah, we came crawling back eventually. Absolutely not. He said, if that was a euphemism, then why I wouldn't be saying that my propeller wouldn't spin. You could argue there the lady doth protest too much, though. Yeah, because you wouldn't want to go shouting that out, would you? I could kind of go with that, but I could also say that he's saying that he can't get it started without her, which so then it's
Yeah.
like
I
so
think that's
yeah,
fair,
but,
yeah.
but yeah, but but then when pressed about what the song is really about, he added it's more describing a mood. No, it's describing a mood more than an organ, a descent. It's about a descent, and he refused to elaborate any further, as is his want. And I think as we go through it, there's good reason for that. But so the first line, if you can summon the strength, tow me. I mean, got to be about he's in a lull, like you said, right? He's down and he wants the other person to pick him up, drag him along. I did notice though when I did that, a lot of car-related imagery in this album. I realized, considering what we have later, like a few off the top of my head: tow, mechanic, go-karts, racing stripes. A lot of cars featured on this album.
We need to make a full-on definitive list, because it's
Of all the
all
cars
way through. When he said in the build-up, in like the car press tour and stuff like that, and he said like, "Oh, I mentioned cars quite a lot." I don't think people realise just how much.
No, yeah, how much it was, yeah, and it's just starting to notice it now. So maybe we should even come up with a jingle for that to flag it. I mean, the car would be the obvious jingle for that. But he doesn't say the car in the car song, does he? Oh, he says, "Yeah, we left my car in the car." Yeah. Too easy.
It's that line, isn't it? It ain't a holiday until you go and fetch something from the car, which sounds like something from a Peter Kay stand-up.
Oh yeah, you hate that, don't you?
Really annoying.
Probably is my least favorite song on the album, though. But yeah, so a lot of car imagery. We'll point out as we go. Maybe we'll come up with a cleverer jingle for that, or a little thing we can play. But maybe was he saying the press? I was singing about cars when the car album was just a glint in Helder's camera. Maybe. Interesting for anyone listening out now, if you listen to this, is I was on the Straight Chilling podcast with Justin, who featured here, and we're talking about a film that Arctic Monkeys played at their film festival called The Conversation. And the car comes up in that, and the album cover. It's weird because I'm retroactively kind of futuristic, but I will be bringing up the car album on that, or I did if you listen to it. I
really hope he cuts all that out now.
Just cuts me out of it. Turns out he's only good when he's with Nick. But okay, so let's give credence to because there's a theory that it's about weed as well as coke. So there's a strong theory on the internet that it's about weed and how weed and the creativity that it brings. So it's about needing weed to write songs, essentially. Or so I guess in this instance, Toe could be pulling on a spliff when taking a drag, I guess, if we're going down that road. So I'm just giving credence to that theory. Pull on a spliff, you tow it. So yeah. But what I would say is that I'm going to add a fifth theory in there. I think we'll sum this up at the end because I do think, I think there's a strong, apart from the cocaine one, I think there's a strong that it's kind of all of the above and it can mean what you want it to mean, which is great because that shows the improvement in the lyrics. But we'll get to that at the end. But I guess my fifth one would be that it doesn't have to be about weed. It could be about him having a little creatively and having something taking him out of it. And that could be a woman, that could be his muse, or it could be just a creative essence. So I think there is a strong case for it being about creative juices needed flowing. Perhaps.
So it absolutely is, because if he's going to be going through that and having a bit of writer's block, this is absolutely the time it would happen, based after 2 smash hit albums and thinking, right, we've got to follow this.
Two and a side project. And that
as well. And just thinking, right, we need to go somewhere there,
But he then says, I can't hold down the urgency. I mean, look, you could go dirty with this if you wanted. Boners and such. If that's what you want to go, or what's it called? Pre-cum does come up in my notes weirdly that you've said that, but what's it called? Like early ejaculation? What do people call it? Never had to talk about it, so I don't know. But premature ejaculation, yeah. But I can't remember. But if he's talking about a mood. Well, the scent, it could still be sex-based. So I'd say maybe not literal euphemisms, but like a pick-me-up mood. This woman picks him up. If it's sexy, then it's his desires he can't hold down. If it's a mood with her, then it's the urgency to be with her that he can't hold down. But if it's the descent into this girl's, like, essence, let's say, like he's like urgent to descend into his desires for her, which is a very Alex thing, particularly Last Shadow Puppets esque, to be absorbed by her almost because he's finding her that tantalizing. It could be that. But it's a bit contrasting though, right? Because he's saying he hasn't got the strength to pick himself up in the last line. And now he can't contain himself. Unless she's towed him at this point and picked him up, and now he can't. So she's picked him up, and now he can't contain himself. He's too picked up, if anything.
Yes.
He's too forward. Again, he says it's not a euphemism. Who knows? But towing, as well, though. Towing is very much clicking something into something else and moving succinctly, and then not being able to contain yourself.
Yeah.
Is he just wanting to, because if you'd written this song and then it was out there in the world and people are reading about it and your family and your parents and that, and this journalist says, "Is this about your cock and shagging?" And you go, "Nah." Although he's never shied away from that before, has he?
No, but I suppose now he's moved into a point where he's
Has
being
he ever said
more-
he? It's first person in this one.
That's true, and he's also
Normally
now he's
hides behind
moved
the
on to a
character,
point
doesn't
that
he?
he's being more, leaving the lyrics more open to interpretation than they have been. I suppose you would want
this
to
one of the
hide
first-
behind it.
Is this one of the first times he's been first person, like properly?
All
Apart
way
from the odd
through,
line where he
yeah.
switched it all the way through, yeah. First person narrative.
I think so, yeah. I think so.
There might be another couple, but there's not many. This is certainly
505, obviously.
yeah. So is the
But
personal
other than
ones.
that,
So is this a personal one? That's the question you have to ask yourself. But that could mean anything. That could be creatively or anything. But if this is about weed and creativity, then that second line doesn't really track too much, does it? Unless
yeah, I
can't hold
don't
out.
think it's-
Weed doesn't make you urgent, does it? Really? Unless it's the urgency to be creative. But if that is
yeah,
stretching
and
it.
eat some party rings.
I mean, yeah. So then he says, "You've got to make your descent slowly and oil up those sticky keys." Again, you can't blame you can't blame people for the euphemism talk, really, can you? When
No.
you're putting stuff like that. But
No.
but if it is a mood, then I think to be honest with you, for a long time when I first heard it, I did think it was about shagging, and she makes him get it
Yeah.
up. So I didn't really dig any deeper. But it's I don't know. It's yeah, you certainly did. But if it is a mood, then I guess it's like so. If it's about a mood, because he said this is about a mood. So if we're going to take when we talk about the mood, we're taking his word for that. This is what he said it's about. So if it is about a mood, that line, make your descent slowly, all at the sticky keys, like the mood, like oiling yourself up slowly for a sexy mood, like not literally oiling yourself up, but like if it's mood, it's slowly getting a sexy mood.
Getting you off
And
the
if it's
shave on and all that.
If it's euphemism, it's him slowly, making his way downtown, isn't it? And oiling up her sticky
Where the lights will be
keys.
brighter.
Pre-cum,
Forget all your troubles.
sticky
got your cares.
keys,
And there it is.
vagina's getting wet on the build-up, perhaps. His sticky
Oh,
fingers
trailer's
after a bit of foreplay.
I'm so glad we're not doing trailers anymore.
just clips, we're clipping up. Yeah, sticky fingers, sticky keys from. I'm going off people's euphemism talk. I mean, this isn't what I think, but sticky keys. If people think this song's about shagging and euphemism, sticky keys is one of several things, but all grim.
Sticky keys was also an accessibility feature on Windows computers. Lets you execute keyboard shortcuts without having to hold down Alt, Control, Shift, or Windows. You can enable it by tapping the Shift key 5 times. A prompt will open asking if you want to use sticky keys. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh yeah. Do you want to turn on sticky keys? No, I do not. Thank you, Bill Gates. Don't want your bloody woke mind virus.
Now he just puts microchips in vaccines. So,
Yeah.
there was a time he was just creating a paperclip that talked to you, but evolution, I guess. If it's the, I thought your psychiatrist got that out of you. He's not real, Nick. Never. If it's Descent, then because I think the sex is too grim. He wouldn't. If even Alex, I know he's done some stuff with with first adolescent and that. But if it was about shagging, like Sticky Keys would be far too grim, I think, wouldn't it? If he's talking about sex,
Especially,
but it must have entered his
especially when he's
mind
doing
when
it
he
in the
was
first
writing it.
person.
Unless he's just not as filthy minded as the rest of us, which we know he definitely is. Like, I don't. Must have read it and gone, "This sounds a bit like I'm talking about my cock here and having sex." Like, that's what makes me think. Is it about that? Because he must have known that's how people would see it. Unless he just thought that was funny. And they had a lot of cock imagery on the last album.
Maybe it's that thing where, like with Joy Division, the reason
I was saying cock,
the
so
bass...
I don't feel like the US listeners don't hear that word as much.
No. The reason the bass sounds like it does on Joy Division is because the guitar was turned up so high in rehearsals that Peter Hook had to play down there to be able to hear it. And maybe it was the same in the studio with this. Maybe everything was turned up so loud no one could hear what Alex was singing. Same with Joy Division. Like, it's only when he died that they were like, "Oh shit, that's what he was singing about. We couldn't hear it." Oh God. Maybe that's what's happened
in the studio
here.
part there, Dave Grohl was eating a bacon and cheese toasty, and he was like, "What's this?" He was like, "What's this song about?" Josh pulled on a cigarette and went, "It's cock." No, it's how they do it in England, man. Europe. Americans always say that. Americans always go, "Oh yeah, it's a bit like Europe." They think it's like some sex-crazed continent where all sorts of okay. Amsterdam has prostitutes legal. Like that. That's about as erotic as it gets.
That's a lot. And France has some naked beaches.
I think in Middle America, like taking your socks off during sex is quite like risque. So, but if it's so if it's descent then and a mood, then it's like comparing descending into a certain mood as oiling up your keys, getting yourself going. But I mean, that whole bit for the first time in the song lends itself to Enemy's little cocaine theory, doesn't it? Because he's in a low, he needs picking up, then he can't hold down the urgency, the buzz, which is very what cocaine does. Weed doesn't, but cocaine certainly does give you an urgency, I've heard. And I suppose starting slow with the drugs and building into it, you start slow, you build into it, and then sticky keys, coke, sticky cocaine on a key, sticky keys, we'll be sniffing.
I'm interested that we're giving this theory some credence because
I'm
there's
just going to
something
stay
else.
in it, but yeah,
well, no,
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Coming up very soon.
Mate, there's a lot coming up very soon that could. This is what I mean. I did it. I thought I'd lend it some credence just because it's fair to go through all the theories, especially on this album. But as I went into it, I was like, there is quite a few. And then if it's weed, then sticky keys with weed and songwriting, I guess. Sticky keys could be be a bong.
Weed is sticky as well.
Could be like a bong thing where the weed goes as well, where the weed sticky, keys and opens up creatively. So it's oiling up those creative keys for him, maybe literal piano keys, who knows? But yeah, interesting. Little interesting things here. And then he says, "Coax me out my low and have a spin of my propeller." So again, if it's sex, my propeller here is someone taking a spin on his cock. Yeah. Again, just gonna say cock.
Let's get out of the way.
If it's descent into the relationship, then it's her having a spin on him. He's the like as in not a sexual spin, whatever that would be, like woo. But got it, windmilling. But if it's the sentence relationship, like she's having a spin on him. If you're going out with someone, you're having a spin on someone. He's like the propeller, like being with him, dating him, having a spin on him. I guess a propeller moves things forward, doesn't it? By its nature, I guess. I've never really thought about the fact that he says propeller. So it's like, get me out of this low mood, and then get me, and I'll propel us forward. So that could be show us a great time, or it could be creatively as well. The propeller, if you're creative and you can't get out of it, and then your propeller starts spinning, moving forward, you're creatively going. And if it's just a mood, then it's going forward, out of the mood, happy, good times, yeah. Against the drug theory, though, could it be like he's propelling forward and asking her to have some with him, so she can be propelling too with the coke? Could that be a thing?
No, you don't do it on your own, do you?
No, if you start using cocaine on your own, then call AA.
I did once as an experiment, and it was just the worst weekend ever.
I once did it because someone came and then they had to go, and I had all this stuff on my own, and I was single and lonely at the time, and which I called you, shouldn't I? And I was I was in Stockport as well, and I was it was an interesting night, let's say. A lot of women got a lot of strange messages on POF. That's all I'll say. If it's weed, if it's weed, then I guess it's the weed taking him out of his creative low to propel himself forward creatively, as well. Again, this is interesting because he says. So I think it's interesting because there are many roads to go down with this song, and I think that's great because we're not just locked into the one obvious answer to it. Particularly like with Favorite Was Nightmare, there was a lot. Even that was very straightforward in the end. He then says it's a necessary evil, so no cause for emergency. So, in relation to sex, it would be sex is the necessary evil. I feel like this is where the verse 2 is where the sex theory starts to crumble a bit, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because although you could say it can ruin relationships, but you got to do it. Like people say if you rush into sex. No, not me. People say if you rush into sex early in the relationship. Oh, sorry. but when you say people say, oh, if you sleep with someone too soon, then it can kill, dead in arrival the relationship or something like that. Not in my experience really, but but I don't think. I think it's clutching at straws the bit here. But if it's a mood like he said though, because Alex said this song's about a mood, I'm not really sure how it's a necessary evil would apply to that.
No, I think that takes us closer to the drug theory again.
I think it takes closer to the weed theory as well because. Yeah. I'm starting to come down on the side of that and also with this album being very much stoner rock and in the desert and that, weed obviously would be. I'm starting to come down to the drug theory that like, if he's saying to get out of his low, the drugs are a necessary evil, then that makes sense, doesn't it? Again, if it's weed to write, then it's a necessary evil to get the creative juices going.
And if you watch a lot of the early live performances from this era, come on.
Oh, that Leeds gig that I was at, yeah. So,
oh God, yeah.
I mean, I was ironically on MDMA, so I was hyped up, and then they did a really slow set. I was fine, but people were leaving; they were complaining about him. Right, that was the gig where I tried to punch that girl. Well, they tried to punch her, but I shouted back at her because she walked off, going, "I used to love these, but they've gone shit now. It's all slow." And I was like, "You know, Alex Turner's a saint. He's a saint." Yeah. But she came crawling back for AM, though, didn't she? Crawling back to you. But again, yeah. So again, I think that the only one that makes sense there is drugs with that one. Now here we are again. Borrowed the beak off a bald eagle. Oh, moment. Well, I have a weed one for this as well, but borrowed the beak off a bald eagle. Oh, momentary synergy. So if it's sex, the momentary synergy speaks for itself. I don't need to go into that anymore. I think I'm starting to decide that this is the mood of smoking weed to create music. I think I'm coming. This is about creative juices flowing. I feel that's where I'm coming down on this. Now, I know you're going to say. I know what you're going to say about beak. Go on.
Yeah. Well, it's like
but our internationals won't know that. But I don't even know if it's just a northern thing, to be honest. But
I think it's northern. Yeah.
So some people refer to cocaine as beak. That's how you get some beak. I mean, I've never heard anyone actually say that in person. I think it's an older reference, isn't it?
Mainly. Get some beak.
Get some beak. Miles has probably said it.
Miles Kane
to Alex. Yeah. Give me some beak, you. Alex, I want to have a line off me cock. I can imagine him saying that to a woman. Come and get me propeller spinning.
You didn't write that one, Miles. Oh, shut up.
I didn't write any of them.
Fighting Buster and Crumbs, that's me.
Speaking of biting, but that is a big thing with the beak, and it was the first thing I thought of when I heard the coke theory was the beak. But the bit where okay, hear me out on this, and I'm not talking crazy here. Is this in my head right? If you get a bong, a glass bong, imagine you got a glass bong, turn it upside down. The bit where you put the weed upside down, would that not look a bit beaky? And the base of the bong upside down with the beak under it would look a bit like a bald eagle's head. Am I
Just give me a second while I get a picture of a bong.
So it's like the bottom of a bong looks like an upside down eagle's head, and the bit where the weed goes could look a bit like a beak.
Now let me.
If you were to take that image and draw an outline, how much would it look like a bald eagle? That's my question.
So upside down.
Yeah. Nick's just doing a handstand. Well, he's not. He couldn't do that, could he? The man's clinically obese. No, he's not. Did you think?
Yeah,
Did you think if you were to do an outline, like just draw, like say it was a black image, and you just did a white line around, if it was like a dead body thing, crimesy thing of a bong, would it look a bit like an eagle at the top, like an eagle's head? Go on. Can you draw? Yeah, you do that. Well, you do it. Yeah, you do it. It's for subscribers are going to see this.
No, I can't draw. No.
I thought you could a bit.
No.
All right. I'm adding things to your CV that you don't have.
Draw. Oh, that's what I do all the time, mate. Don't worry.
Draw your actual CV.
The two things I should do.
Life, metaphysical CV, curriculum, vitae. Anyway, I don't know. I'm filibustering while you draw this shit. But I think, I think, the next line. Then I'll start on that while you're doing that to see whether become a subscriber to see if Nick could draw the outline of a bong upside down and it looks like an eagle's head. Which would be kind of a cool Alex thing, I guess. Let's have a look. I think it does a bit. I mean, it looks more like a duck the way you've done it, but it does look a bit like a bald eagle's head, doesn't it?
I can only work with the bong I was given thanks to Google.
Said every stoner. I don't know. But yeah, it does
It's
a bit, doesn't
duck,
it?
man.
Everyone have a think. It does look like a duck, yeah. But a bit, like it's interesting though, isn't it? Because is it a coincidence or is it not? Because I could imagine Alex high looking at a bong on the floor and thinking that looks like a bit like a beak of a bird. He might have just thought bird and the head of a bird, and then he thought desert, eagle. Yeah, bald eagle. Maybe.
Bald eagle.
Just saying maybe. It's a bit more
Bald eagle,
sophisticated
the
than just saying
ugliest
beak.
of all the avian varieties.
Yeah, but the best bit, if you were going to be a bird, you'd be a bald eagle, wouldn't you? That's the one you want to be. It's fucking king of the jungle out there. Shit.
I'd be a pigeon, mate.
Well, no, not what you would be. I mean, if you could choose. But obviously, yeah.
Patronus.
If you would definitely come back as a pigeon, but if you could choose. Coax me out my low, sinking to tomorrow. It's sinking to tomorrow. Is it slink? Yeah, it's sinking. I said slink earlier. I apologize. Sink, yeah. No, low, sinking to tomorrow. Again, sinking to tomorrow could be from being high. It could be from the night doing coke. It could be from having sex and falling asleep. It could be just being together and falling into the next day in that kind of mood. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different interpretations of that, isn't there, really? My propeller won't spin and I can't get it started on my own. When are you arriving? I mean, it does sound like a euphemism there, doesn't it? I mean, to say it. I mean, I guess if it's mood, if he's saying it's mood, then it's her getting to you and making your propeller spin when she's around. Is that the kind of the vibe? Yeah. If it's coke, then it's waiting to get the drugs because you can't get going on your own, and perhaps it's the creative juices with weed flowing. So yeah. Look, that's kind of the last lyric because that's just like repeated, isn't it? Repeated. So I think in conclusion, my thoughts were kind of, if I had to pin it down to one, I'd say now from today, because I never thought about this before. It's about smoking weed to set a mood, to be creative. But I'm also happy to say that weed isn't a part of it, and it's just about needing coaxing out of a low to be creative. But I actually kind of came to the conclusion that it's actually like all of them except maybe cocaine use, even though it does fit here and there. I think, based off what he said about the mood as well, I just think he's talking about a mood or a creative mood. Could be a sex mood. It could be a girl. It could be a girl being his muse creatively, but I just don't actually think we need to pin it down. I think it works for a lot of different things, but at its core, it's about getting into a certain mood, and whether that's for sex or to write music or to party, whatever. I think it doesn't matter. It's about getting into a certain mood. There's some songs that are just about something like that, like about a mood, a concept, like a feeling. And I think that I don't think we need to pin it down. But if you did ask me to pin it down, I'd say I really like the idea now of it, because because I'd never thought about it before, and now when I listen to the song, it gives me something new to ponder. That it's about him needing a lull creatively and coming forward, and maybe he needs weed for that, and that kind of all tracks with it being the first song on a new album with a new producer in a foreign land, smoking a lot of weed. I'd imagine probably going out and doing what do they call it? The trippy stuff they do in the desert over there.
Salvia.
They always call it. No, pretty often salvia. The
Sativa. That's
yeah,
good, isn't it?
yeah, Stevie. Yeah,
I was getting too mixed up. Yeah, not a good idea to get them too mixed up.
No, not usually. And that's how Jamie ended up in the story we'll tell. But I just think one size fits all for different things. Mood, I think.
Absolutely.
Which shows the difference in the songwriting from the previous albums already, because it could be multiple things, and we don't really need. But we're also interested. We don't really need to feel the need to figure it out because it's just a concept, a mood. So, yeah, I love it. And I do really. If you had to fall down on one, though, if you had to, I'd go creative, potentially weed smoking, creative.
I think the creative process, allied with weed smoking, purely because as well the creative process, it would fit. It almost fits the through line of what he's been singing about. So first album, singing about going out with mates and stuff like that. Second album, the pressures of fame. So the creative process, it would fit that is wondering how he's going to move on. I think it completely
Absolutely.
fits.
But I would also say that a lot of this album is about, as ever, a woman. That he's into a lot of it, and a woman. So you could make a strong case that the thing that's getting him out of his lull and being creative is a muse, is a woman as well. When she's around, she gets his propeller spinning creatively, as many women have and men have for different artists over the years. So it could be Alexa getting him creative when she's around. But I feel like she wasn't around that much when they were here. But who knows? But yeah, Could be a number of things, but I like it. I like that we can leave it a bit open. But shall we? We got a feature to finish this lyrical discussion. We got a little feature. Where we play a clip from Mr. John Kennedy's track by tracks, like we did in a full episode of this, actually, didn't we? For the previous two albums, and this is where, for this particular track, just where they talk about it. This one's Matt and Alex, as most of them are. And yeah, see what they have to say on it. But we do have a jingle for this, and we selected this jingle, didn't we, for a bit of a laugh? Because
Tell them why, Don.
Well, some people might remember that we had a bit of a falling out with Old Yellow Bricks last season because it wasn't about what we thought it was about, and we felt that made it a worse song. And we're still bitter and twisted about it. And I also got a bit miffed that This House of Circus is seemingly just about a party and not a parable for fame, like I had thought. I'm still holding out though that Alex just isn't being honest about that one. So we thought if we hear this John Kennedy bit and we've just talked about the lyrics and they say something that isn't what we were expecting and we feel makes the song worse, like we did with Old Yellow Bricks, then we asked ourselves. I said, Nick. So yeah, that's the segment there.
Do we want to know?
Do we want to know? But should we have a little listen to the clip then?
Yeah.
Do we want to know?
And for the video readers, I'll pop us out of it because it'll look very off-putting seeing us at the side of it because of the.
I mean, it's off-putting seeing us at the best of times. So don't make it
true
worse.
enough. I didn't want to be the one to say it.
The album, we've been talking about the desert, talking about New York City and Brooklyn. Now we're going to talk about the tracks. And there seems a kind of sauciness to some of these songs, in a way, when you listen to some of the lyrics. My Propeller, is there innuendo intended there, or am I just a one-track-minded person?
That's what someone else said. There was a bit of raunch in there, in the prop.
What do you think, Matt?
If that was an innuendo, though, it wouldn't be a very...
flattering?
Yeah, it wouldn't be very flattering one, would it?
So you would dispute
I
that?
think there's raunchier tunes, John, to be honest.
It's good to leave that space, though, isn't it?
But there's always room for raunch, I suppose, if you've got that inclination.
If that's what you're looking for, you'll find it.
So My Propeller is one of the James Ford recorded tracks from Brooklyn.
It is, yeah.
Brooklyn Sessions.
It's probably one of my faves actually. That John.
Why is that?
I think that was one of the ones like I wrote after Christmas when I thought, you know, I wanted to like, when I was really like something I was always scared of before was like sitting down for too long and trying to like carve it too much, and like that almost like there's this, I suppose, rule or something that sometimes goes with the idea of doing that you're gonna kill the spark or something, and I don't know if that's true, but I'd like kind of got over that idea and just sort of sat and like tried to work on a few of these this sort of final songs I wrote for it for a bit longer than I perhaps would have before, and like I don't know, we've just been playing that one for the first time like the last few nights, and it's like it's really enjoyable. It's good sets the mood, I think.
Yeah. So it's already in the set that you've been trying out in various different places in Europe, and
we've been doing that.
Yeah, excellent. And the live setup's slightly different. It's expanded by John Ashton.
Yeah. But that's actually a measurement as well.
Yeah.
It's expanded by a John Ashton. An Ashton.
And doesn't John feature on this track on My Propeller? Is it
the recording?
On the recording.
Yeah. He was out with us in Brooklyn.
He came to Brooklyn, yeah.
Right, and so he plays keyboards on this and backing vocals. So this is his first foray into recording with Arctic Monkeys.
That's right, yeah.
And now he's part of the live setup. So he worked with you before? He's
a
badass by temperament,
and he was a puppet.
What was his role? Was he?
He did sound for us.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Sound engine.
But he's like, he's also like turned us on to a load of tunes over the years. Like we've known him, you know. He was like the person who played me like David Axelrod, for instance. Like
right.
Which was obviously heavily influenced the Taylor's P. But yeah, and he you know he's always been good with like making comps for us and stuff. But yeah, he's a bit of a jack of all trades in the
he's very talented
department, and he likes to cover himself with leopard skin. He likes to hide behind the leopard skin veil live,
much like a leopard.
Yeah. Well, I look for.
Brilliant.
They're funny, aren't they? They're funny. Funny boys.
I especially like the bit about John Ashton turning him onto music and making him. That's my favourite thing when I like meet someone like a new friend, or if I'm like chatting to a girl or something. The best bit of every relationship for me is those first few months where you're showing them all the stuff you like.
And there's an insight into
I love that.
why long-term relationships aren't your forte. But
yeah. When I turn to him like 6 years in, and I'm like, "Have you seen Life on Mars?" "Yes, you made me watch it, Nick, and you pointed out all the bits of Stockport that are on it."
Oh, God. Well, it's funny because I'd heard that and recorded it for this, and still forgot that John Ashton was actually on the track.
I know. I saw your face. I saw your little face at the bottom go.
For fuck's sake. I think it's. I would say though, what I will say, as much as we kind of don't need to put it down and all that we said, and I don't really think it is a sexual innuendo. I feel like when he says it, there's a little bit of masking there when he's like trying to put off that it's about sexual innuendo. I don't feel like he's being fully honest there about it, because he seems like he's trying to play it as, I'm shocked that people would take that away from it, whereas there's no way that he was shocked that people take that away from it. When you read the lyrics, they know. It's like you know, this is the guy that wrote "You get it in your fishnets, you get it in your nightdress." You know what I mean? Like, so I think he knew. And if he knew what he was doing, it's a bit like "Suck It and See," isn't it? People saying like
very much that.
But when they said it got banned in America, I remember an interview when Matt and Alex were like, "Oh yeah, well, you know, we didn't really realize it's a sweet, it was innocent." And I was like, "You definitely knew what you were doing. There's no way you didn't. There's no way 24-year-olds saw "Suck It and See" written down and didn't think of blowies. Let's be honest." So
of course.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of masking there, but hey, I don't feel like the sexual stuff holds up after the sort of first verse anyway. So, but yeah. Do you want to anything to say about the clip, or do you want to move on to the music video briefly?
You can move on to the music video, and you also have a new feature to regale me with, don't you? That
Well,
I am
not
going
at this
to
bit.
blind.
Not yet. I'm going to do it right at the end. Yeah. It's just something I thought it might go down well, it might not. We'll see. But this is the music video. So this sparse information on this video, which again perhaps kind of
There's
outlines
nothing.
this song as
It's
a
really
single.
hard.
It was directed. I did find out. I dug out. It was directed by Will Lovelace and Dylan Southern, who they both directed Aziz Ansari's last Netflix special, actually, the apology one.
Yes, the apology special.
The apology one. I think they might run a production company called 32, and they create a lot of stuff like this. I haven't got much to say on this video. It's a cool video stylistically, but I guess when I was watching it again today, I thought I just seen a lot of this style before, so it's not
It's been done.
I feel like, again, did they want to do Pretty Visitors and they had a video in mind for Pretty Visitors, but they didn't end up doing it and they just kind of bashed something together for this? I don't know, but not mind blowing, is it? Really, it's not one of my favorites. Might even be my least favorite video, actually.
I think at some point we'll do one of the subscriber episodes. Maybe we will go over all the music videos because they do range from being like they range from being like really innovative and interesting. Like you look at like Dance Floor, When the Sun Goes Down, Fluorescent Adolescent, to just unimaginative and kind of this. I'd also say Crying Lightning to an extent.
To Humbug
the
ones,
Sculptures video as well. The Sculptures video was just the Sculptures video, particularly when we had the body paint video beforehand, just feels
question
feels
for you
like
then, because is the last single always the poorest video? I don't think it's always, but there's a few. Because what's the worst? One for the Road isn't. I'm not a fan of that video. No, One for the Road. I love One for the Road. What's the one on a
Slip Out of It?
Snap Out of It. Not a fan of that video, really.
No.
Again, last single from it. Is there something with the last single?
Yes.
What's the last single from Tranquility? It's. Did they do
all
two
the
or three
Tranquility
for
videos
that?
are good. They did Tranquility and
Yeah,
did 4 or 5 and then Tranquility. Both great videos.
Can see last video, all good, aren't they? All good videos.
All good.
See.
And then we even got videos for
Evil Twin
B-sides in that era.
Yeah, that's good as well. And he married her. But yeah, more on that at some point. Not anymore. Getting married again, though, isn't he? Oh, he did get married again. By the way, I don't think we've had to say that on air, but congratulations to. Well, maybe we have or not. Oh, I just realised we didn't do the shipping forecast again that we were going to do.
Let's do it now. I'll hit the jingle.
All right, hit the jingle. I haven't got anything though. Gonna have to go on. Oh, we'll do it for the wedding. Yeah, we'll do it for the wedding. Come on, this week.
Listening to the shipping forecast.
Yeah,
Worth it just for that, innit?
Yeah. We will do that regularly. I'll find something nice to kind of put that out in the ether, as he says in that song as well. I would say, yeah, congratulations to Matt and his lady wife Amanda. For
Amanda Blank.
Yeah.
Amanda Blank. But it's nice for her to
Amanda
have a
Helders.
surname now.
I insert surname here. I would, yeah. Oh, maybe she's still Amanda Blank though, because she's got a career, a sort of music career herself, so she might not want to change her name. But yeah, Amanda.
Was it 2024? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't. I had a discussion with a load of like sort of more, I would say, insecure men once, where I sort of said some girl didn't want to take the last name, and I was like, honestly, it wouldn't bother me. And he was like, all of them were like, oh, you just try to get in with the girls, and I was like, honestly, it's a made up name that I was born into. I can give a shit whether she takes it or not.
Yeah, don't care.
Can I change mine?
I'm not bothered. In fact, I want to specifically marry someone with a really good second name so I can have it, because I hate having 2 first names. Yeah.
Oh, I think your name's good though, as a stage name, like a presence. Like I like mine as well in that essence. Like Daniel Holt, it's very snappy, easy to remember. Nick Lee, yeah. Well, there is a stand-up with a similar name, I guess. Surname.
To who?
To you, Stuart Lee.
Yeah.
But yeah. But anyway, the video.
I can do about
that. I'm joking. I'm not but congratulations to Matt and Amanda, and Louise was with them in a Chinese restaurant I saw over the as well in there. But yeah, we'll do another shipping forecast. Be more prepared for that last week. We got so excited about the new features, we forgot about a feature we'd done before. And if we see any bad comments, we play them out as well. And I think we had a jingle for the bad comment. I can't remember what it was, but I don't think we ever actually put it in there. But we talked about it. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
I have to try and remember what it was. It was something good as well. It was something about someone. He's just not a knob. It was like a knobhead or something. He was calling someone something. Anyway, I can't remember. But
thinks it's all right to act like a knobhead, possibly.
Like a knobhead. It was that. Yeah, it was. I think it was that. But yeah. So anyway, favorite lyric, Nick?
Favorite lyric. I really like "Borrow the Beaker for."
We don't got a jingle for this. We don't got a jingle for this.
Sorry. Yeah,
don't say that like you don't.
I knew it was all going too well. It was all going
quite professional this episode, haven't we?
Yeah. Let's have the jingle.
Too busy with the mind on clever lines.
Yeah, I really like "Borrow the Beak off of a Bald Eagle." I really like it's just cool. It's really,
it is
really
a cool line. We forgot to mention actually the background. Whatever they do.
It's great. Go on, Helders. Hit it,
like
Helders.
that. Really like that. Another, as if he isn't doing enough with the drums. And then I'd probably say actually coax me out my low and have a spin on my propeller, because it is a cool line, regardless of what it means. Favorite musical moment?
Might sound in your ear that make you get up and down.
I think I'm going to go the riff at the start.
Are you going for the riff? That was going
I
to be
think
it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go for that. I like it.
Actually,
and the way it sounds as well.
I'll have the.
Did you mean the?
I love the opening riff.
No, I like the drop to the riff.
Yeah, because I think I'll be picking. There'll be other songs where the organ is more prevalent that I'll be wanting to pick. And in fact, I know which one's on already, so I'll save the organ.
Oh, you went for the when I thought when you said organ, you were talking about the. Okay. No, yeah, you can't have the organ for this one. It's not that. It's not that involved, is it? Really?
Especially considering it wasn't that noticeable until I watched the live version before.
Yeah, exactly. So you can't have that. But yeah, that I just love that the sound of that riff at the start. That ding, 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 it just yeah. I do have a hot take though, Nick.
Ooh.
She flicks a red hot revelation off the tip of her toe.
Okay. If this album came out back in 2009 and the first two albums didn't exist, no one's ever heard of Arctic Monkeys before, it didn't have all the hype, but this album just dropped with a label, would they have more of a rock crowd audience than an indie crowd audience? Would they have, because that kind of rock people and heavy metal people like that, apart from fucking Lars Ulrich loves them and shit, but heavy metal people are very sniffy about Arctic Monkeys, don't like Arctic Monkeys. If they hadn't had all those early hits and those kind of indie hits and Fluorescent Adolescent and stuff like that, would they have been taken seriously rock if this had been the first album to come out?
I think 1,000,000%. Particularly, this was the time of Black Keys as well. Black Keys were probably at their biggest, getting to around this point. So it would have fit in with that. And then you saw just 4 years after this, like Royal Blood. Not particularly massive fan of them, but they very much got in the whole rock crowd thing as well, with similar kind of sound to this. So yeah, absolutely, 1,000,000%. That would be really interesting to see that trajectory, how that went after that.
It would, and I think it's interesting because I imagine a lot of people that didn't like Arctic Monkeys but loved Queens of the Stone Age and stuff like that must have been really jarred by Josh Homme liking them. And it's one of my favorite things to needle people that are having to dig at me that I know love those bands and go, but Josh Homme, and then they don't know what to say. They go, I remember one guy, he went, but Josh Homme writes all their best songs. That's why. And I was like, all right, okay. Do you want me to get out my file of evidence that that's true? Because we'll be here all night, mate. My dossier. But I wouldn't. I would say, absolutely, definitely is true, because people are sniffy about them because of the past. I would go as far to say that I don't remember anyone referring to them a rock band until AM time. I remember if you called them a rock band, people would be like, and then AM kind of took them into the rock sphere, and then people actively go back and call them a rock band because of this one as well. But
which, considering
this was the Tranquility
Base, every album has heavier stuff. Yeah, pretty much every album has heavier stuff than AM as well. Really.
Well, this is how I
heavy album.
I remember Mr. Jamie Cook saying that when this album got such a bad response, that he felt that one day people will go back and assess this as the best album. And he was right in this sense that people went back, funnily, after Tranquility and stuff and went, oh, it's actually all right, Humbug. So I imagine in the next decade, people will go back and say, oh, Tranquility is actually a pretty good album. Like, so it's funny that when they got the rock band mantle for AM, and then they immediately dropped it going forwards after that.
and when they were on tour last year for the car tour, the amount of people saying, "Oh, I wish we'd play more stuff from Humbug." So well, you didn't fucking say that in 2009.
No, it really annoys me because it's like, do you know how much I had to argue with people about this? And now you're all just fucking saying it like you're just changing how history went. What? Must be how it feels for Holocaust deniers if you're Jewish. We cut that out.
It's exactly the same as that.
But anyway, got a lot of bellends. The Holocaust deniers, not the Jews, obviously. Now I have a new segment here, Nick. We got a jingle for it, haven't we?
Yes, I'll push the
You
button.
don't know what it is, though.
Push the button and we'll do the rest.
So usually at the end of the episode, I write a kind of an intro to the next song, but I thought let's change it up and see what we could do. And given the current world and hot topics in the world, I thought, could it be funny to give an AI a prompt to introduce us the next song and read that out on the show?
Yes.
And that's why, you push the button and we'll do the rest. So all I put in, okay, so I've got a couple, and for the first one, I got a couple because I was experimenting, and then for next week I'll have one. The prompt I put in initially was, write me a funny introduction to the song Crying Lightning by Arctic Monkeys. This is what I got. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for a musical roller coaster that's faster than your attempts to fold a fitted sheet and more electrifying than a cat realizing it can control the red dot. Don't know what that means. Brace yourselves as the Arctic Monkeys take you on a wild ride with Crying Lightning, the only song capable of making thunderstorms jealous of its sound effects and leaving even Zeus questioning his lightning bolt choices. So grab your umbrella because tears and lightning are about to collide in a way that even Mother Nature didn't see coming. There you go. That one. And then I thought, well, maybe I should be a bit more specific. So I thought I'll give it some context to the lyrics. So I asked it the same thing. I said, write me a funny introduction to the song Crying Lightning by Arctic Monkeys, and here are the lyrics. And I pasted in the lyrics to Crying Lightning. This is what I got then. Ladies and gentlemen, gather round for a lyrical journey brought to you by the Arctic Monkeys, the musical maestros who make you question whether you're at a rock concert or a stand-up comedy show. Now, let's dive into Crying Lightning, a song that's more unpredictable than my cat's mood swings. Why do cats keep coming into it? I was trying to think, where's it got a cat from? It should be monkeys, if anything. I don't know where it's got a cat from. Picture this. You're at a cafe by the Cracker Factory, minding your own business, practicing magic tricks, and suddenly the Arctic Monkeys show up with a tail as twisted as a pretzel on a roller coaster. They're talking pick and mix, strawberry lace, and gobstoppers, because apparently they're on a sugar high that even Willy Wonka would envy. Topical. And just when you think it can't get any weirder, they introduce a game called Crying Lightning. Now, I don't know about you, but my games usually involve cards or board pieces, not atmospheric phenomena shedding tears. But hey, who am I to judge? These guys even managed to aggravate the ice cream man on rainy afternoons, a skill set I never knew I needed. So buckle up because the Arctic Monkeys are about to take you on a wild ride through strange, twisted, and deranged pastimes. And remember, this song is not responsible for any sudden urges to aggravate icky men or challenge the weather to a crying contest. Enjoy the chaos of Crying Lightning.
Weirdly, I prefer the second one.
Had the context, didn't it? Had the lyric context. But to see us out before we go, I thought, well, we missed My Propeller for this segment, though, didn't we? Because we started with My Propeller. So I just popped in, again, write me a funny introduction. My Propeller, here are the lyrics. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready to embark on a musical journey that's more complicated than assembling IKEA furniture and more enigmatic than deciphering hieroglyphics. We present to you the Arctic Monkeys in their song My Propeller, where even the propeller refuses to spin without a dramatic entrance. Now imagine summoning the strength to tow someone, Not your usual weekend activity, right? But for the Arctic Monkeys, it's just the beginning of a lyrical odyssey filled with urgency, sticky keys, and a descent so slow it makes snails look like speed demons. They're not just talking about any propeller, it's the kind that won't spin, leaving them stranded in a sea of non-rotation despair. And here you thought your morning routine was complicated. So brace yourselves for the necessary evil of propeller troubles, beaks borrowed from bald eagles, and momentary synergy that's more elusive than finding matching socks. And just when you think you've got it all figured out, the propeller won't spin again, leaving you questioning the laws of physics and the reliability of aviation technology. So join us as we dive into the perplexing world of My Propeller, a song where even the laws of aerodynamics take a backseat to the Arctic Monkeys' unique brand of musical mischief. Sorry, I can't see what's coming. Will the propeller ever spin? When are they arriving? The answers remain as elusive as a cat playing hide and seek. Enjoy the ride. Where do cats keep coming from? I can't figure out where the cat keeps coming from whenever I prompt it.
I hope this carries on. I hope it constantly gives us
the
cat
cat stays.
references.
It must be thinking Arctic. Must be taking Arctic Monkeys as some prompt about a cat. I don't know. But yeah, so that'll be every week. Well, I'll just do one usually, obviously. But yeah,
I mean,
bloody
you
hell.
can't spell Arctic without cat, can you? There's a C, there's an A, and there's a T. No.
Oh, technically, yeah. But I would assume a sophisticated AI that can pretty much write that in 10 seconds. It wrote that could figure out what Arctic is. It's not a cat, is it?
You'd hope so, wouldn't you? Yeah.
I can't figure out what maybe someone will go, oh, it's because of this, but I don't know.
God.
So, by the way,
Oh,
before you do your goodbyes and see them next week, I did prepare to play us out after you've said goodbye. An audio 3D version of this track someone made, which is for headphones. So if you've got headphones in or you haven't, pop them in now. Obviously, we can't listen to it live now. I'm going to edit in. But if you've got headphones in, pop them in now, and you'll hear an audio 3D version of this track, which is very interesting.
Excellent.
Mm.
There
I
we
mean,
go.
that was a
Audio
smashing first episode.
Yeah, who knew that was a thing? But now I know audio 3D is a thing. I want everything. I want to consume all my content in audio 3D now. That's it.
Yep.
If the new album if album number 8 is not released in audio 3D format, I'm gonna be fucking livid. I'll be done with this band. I'll go and start a podcast about Royal Blood or Miles Kane or something. No,
Miles Kane songs. Miles Kane songs
That's
wouldn't work in 3D because there's not enough going on.
This
The 3D with Miles Kane. The 3D with Miles Kane is it's 4D. He comes around to your house and shags you.
Beat me to it. Oh god. Yes, this has been the start of Series 3 of Don't Believe the Hype. Hold on to your afternoon's hats because we have a lot coming up for you over the next couple of months. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, we'll be back next week. Say goodbye to the nice people, Dan.
Goodbye. God bless.
Bye. Won't go that far. Don't
me
bring
neither.
like fictional beings into it. You might as well say like Harry Potter bless
All right.
or something.
Good night and bless your cat.
I will. Thank you. Bye,
Bless your pussy.
everyone.
Bye.
Ah.
Don't Believe the Hype is hosted and produced weekly by Nick Lee and Dan Holt. The music used in the titles is royalty-free music courtesy of Les FM. Don't forget to subscribe on your podcast player of choice to be notified every Wednesday when a new episode is released. And if you want to help us out further, be sure to like and review to help make us more visible to like-minded souls. We will see you next week with more of the same.